Any chance we could start? Last 2 weeks, as you've probably known, I've had a very easy, relaxing time. Hardly anything of any importance at all has happened to me. But you might have noticed in some of the newspapers, they've taken a bit of an interest in me. I haven't read them all, but some of the things I've read are this, that according to one headline, Jeremy Corbyn welcomed the prospect of an asteroid wiping out humanity. Now, asteroids are pretty controversial, and it's not the kind of policy I'd want this party to adopt without a full debate in conference. So can we have the debate later in the week? Another newspaper went even further and printed a mini novel that predicted how life would look if I were Prime Minister. It's pretty scary, I have to tell you. It tells us football's Premier League would collapse. Now, that makes actually a lot of sense, because it's quite difficult to understand how all our brilliant top 20 teams in the Premiership would cope with playing after an asteroid had wiped out humanity. So that's a no-no for sure. And then the Daily Express informed readers that I'm not quite sure how many greats there are here, but I think there's 3 or 4, great-great-great-grandfather, who I'd never heard of before, was a very unpleasant sort of chap who apparently was involved in running a workhouse. And I want to take this opportunity to apologise for not doing the decent thing and going back in time and having a chat with him about his appalling behaviour. But then there's another journalist who has obviously been hanging around my street a great deal, who quotes, "Neighbours often see him," that's me, "riding a Chairman Mao-style bicycle." Now, less thorough journalists might have referred to it as just a bicycle, but no. So we have to conclude that whenever we see somebody on a bicycle from now on, there goes another supporter of Chairman Mao. Thus, the Daily Express have changed history. So my first message is to David Cameron. I say to him now, a little message from our conference. I hope he's listening. You never know. Intervene now, personally, with the Saudi Arabian regime to stop the beheading and crucifixion of Ali Mohammed al-Nimr, who is threatened with the death penalty for taking part in a demonstration at the age of 17. And, while you're about it, terminate that bid made by our Ministry of Justice to provide prison services for Saudi Arabia, which would be required to carry out the sentence that would be put down on Mohammed Ali al-Nimr. We have to be very clear about what we stand for in human rights. Because a refusal to stand up is the kind of thing that really damages Britain's standing in the world. I have huge, undying admiration for human rights defenders all over the world, and I've met hundreds of these very brave people. For 2.8 million households in Britain forced into debt by stagnating wages and the Tory record of the longest fall in living standards since records began. And that's really the nub of it. Tory economic failure. An economy that works for the few, not the many. Manufacturing still in decline. Look at the Tory failure to intervene and support our steel industry, as the Italian government has done. So, as we did yesterday in conference, we stand with the people on Teesside fighting for their jobs, for their industry and their community. I do not believe in personal abuse of any sort. Treat people with respect. Treat people as you wish to be treated yourself. Listen to their views. Agree or disagree, but have that debate. There's going to be no rudeness from me. Maya Angelou, brilliant writer, said this: "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." Wonderful words from Maya Angelou. politics, a more caring society. Don't let them reduce you to believing in anything less. So I say to all activists, whether Labour or not, cut out the personal abuse, cut out the cyberbullying, and especially the misogynistic abuse online, and let's get on with bringing real values back into politics. Listen, I've spoken at 37 meetings since Saturday afternoon. Is that not enough? We'll talk later. So I end conference with a quote. The last bearded man to lead the Labour Party was a wonderful, great Scotsman, Keir Hardie. Who died a century ago this weekend, and we commemorated him with a book we launched on Sunday evening. Keir grew up in dreadful poverty and made so much of his life, and founded our party, stood up to be counted on votes for women, stood up for social justice, stood up to develop our political party. We owe him and so many more so much. And he kind of was asked once, summarise what you're about? Keir, summarise what you really mean in your life. And he thought for a moment, and he said this: my work has consisted of trying to stir up divine discontent with wrong. What words they are, what brilliance. So I say to you, don't accept injustice. Stand up against prejudice. Let us build a kinder politics, a more caring society together. Let's put our values, the people's values, back into politics. Conference, thank you.